So I'm Hima Reddy. I am here to share with you my favorite indicator as per this little title slide here. And today I want to do something special. I want to just take us right to live charts. So I will talk about the indicator and show you bits of how I use it. About halfway or 40 minutes through, I'll let you know if you want to get more information where you can do that. And really, I just want to kind of hang out with you and the charts. As I was mentioning, I kind of want to do what they used to do back in the day when MTV used to play music, okay? I'm old enough to remember that. And it was called Total Request Live. You'd call in on the phone, you'd give your ticker request or your video request. But our version here is Ticker Request Live. So right now in the chat here in Zoom, if you have a question about a market, like you could just type the ticker. That's totally fine. We'll start looking at it together, okay? So I have a few in the queue because obviously there's been interesting times. The first thing I'm going to do is get over to my TradeStation screen because that's where we're going to be. So let me just give you a quick tour of what my chart setup is here, and then we'll dive in. So as I said, I'm Hima Reddy, and I actually use price action, so candlesticks, market timing, so that's forecasting tools, and momentum, that's like the speed of the market to boost my trading and that of my students. Now, I've been trading, studying, analyzing markets for 24 years, long time, and formally been sharing education in my education business since 2016, right? So my go-to favorite indicator, if you've ever listened to me, even for 1 minute, you know it's the RSI power zones. So it is taking the traditional RSI and putting boundaries on it so that you can finally use it to trade different types of trends than just the traditional sideways one it was built for. Not a lot of people know that, okay? When Wells Wilder made this thing in 1978, before I was even born, okay, before I was born, it was designed to help you be prepared to get out of a breakout of a range and then ride the trend. It wasn't an indicator for buying and selling in any condition. So the zones help you fix that. So there's more to the settings of the zones and the patterns and all that I'll get to later. But I just want to kind of look at what you guys want to look at and we'll dive in. So if I say your name and I say your ticker, it means I've seen your request, all right? And I'm going to have a little sticky note on my computer and I'll go through as many as I can during this time. Now, I'm from New York originally, so I talk pretty fast. If you need me to repeat something, please let me know. I'm pretty comfortable with Zoom, so I can also scroll back and see your questions, okay? All right, so George, I see your question about GE. So what I'm doing is taking it from the Zoom, pasting it in my little notepad. Richard, I see your question about the ES. Rubicon, I see your question about UXVY. I'm not sure I can plot that. I'm not quite sure what that is, but we're going to find out. And Arif, I see your question about GFI. All right, so let's start with those. So George, you said GE, right? So I'm going to just start by loading up, and I like to go to a monthly time frame first. So what I believe is that whether you're day trading or swing trading, as a true technician, okay, I started learning with technical analysis when I was a teenager and then went on to learn fundamentals and work on Wall Street and have the designations and all that. When it comes to technicals, I think unless, actually, no, unless. Whether you're day trading, swing trading, or scalping, you got to start with a higher time frame than where you need to be. So that's my first tip for you, okay? So everyone type a Y in the chat if you follow that. You think you're a swing trader and you're happy in the daily chart, go to a monthly, go to a weekly. It will give you a lot of information. So here we are on GE monthly chart, right? And we have broken above this high, but been dancing around it. So to me, price levels mean more if the market's really able to push through them. Otherwise, this resistance is one that hasn't been blasted through. Like bears are still hanging out here, exerting pressure. Now, what you can see is on the monthly chart of the RSI power zones, it's up in what I call the bull resistance power zone. Okay, so the green zones are sort of where the bull markets live or uptrends live, and the red zones are where the downtrends live. And again, I'll let you know in a bit how you can dig into that deeper. I just want to demonstrate for you. So let's now take this down a time frame and look at what it looks like on a weekly chart. Notice, and this is very important, I did not change the settings of my indicator. I didn't change anything. Okay, when you go from one time frame to another with the RSI power zones, you don't have to change a thing. So I think that's pretty cool because it works on any active market. Okay, it's got to have liquidity and any time frame, as long as a time frame chart. You can't use it on tick charts, but you could use it on a 1 minute chart or 2 minute or something like that. Okay, so GE on this weekly chart, started consolidating. I see a little trend line that I want to put in here. So I'm going to do my best to make the charts as big as possible so y'all can see clearly. Yeah, I'm from New York, but I say y'all because I live in Austin, in case that confuses you, okay? Live in Austin, Texas, love it. It's been here since 2021. Where are you guys from? I always forget to ask that when I'm in these, many speaker events. So type it in the chat because I love knowing where we're all trading from. It's so cool how you can do it from like any corner of the earth practically, right? All right, awesome. We have Eric in Pennsylvania, Enrique in Denmark. Wow, George in Pittsburgh. Yep, I used to live in Pittsburgh in Shady Side area. Eric says Texas is too hot. Lots of places are too hot. Lots of places are too cold. Everybody picks their poison, right? Tim, North Carolina, or South Carolina. Okay, Michael or Marvin from Mars. Okay, great. Love to have extraterrestrials at our events. Awesome. We have Germany, UK. Awesome. So proves my point, right? That you can do this stuff from anywhere. And I'm just going to continue here with analyzing this for George because I'm seeing how, even though it was a move up and then started to go sideways, see how these trend lines, George, really gave nice boundaries to this action. All right. All of that is happening while the RSI power zones have been working off from this peak. So a peak on an indicator is like a mountain peak, okay? And trough is what we call the lows. It's just easier than saying highs and lows because then you know you're talking about the indicator. Often you'll see very strong markets come up and work off, like relieve themselves of being so overbought, right? Coming down off these high levels, but the market not falling. Okay, if that's ever caught you in a trade and you accidentally started going short because you thought the market was turning down, type a Y in the chat. Because that's why I love the RSI power zones. They prevent you from doing that because you look at the context of the movement, not just overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold. Okay. All right. Now let's take this to the daily. And I'm going to remove that level we moved through. All right. So on the daily chart, RSI power zones, as the market has been pretty kind of sideways. It's really like neutral. Okay. So this is a 0 to 100 range and it's been hanging out around 50 basically. But we do have the beginning of a breakout from this range, George. So if you were looking for an opportunity, like a new trade, you may, it's not confirmed yet, but you may consider going long. I would wait to see if at least we get above today's high because this was a big nasty red candle, right? After a spike up. But I would want to see a little bit, probably 2-3 days above this upper trend line before considering a bull position. Now, on the flip side, because I don't have a crystal ball, the market could fall lower and this support level here. So supports are price floors. For those of you newer to trading, they're areas where buyers are kind of hanging out. This support here at 156.42 is important. So I would not go long if the market gets above that or below that. All right. So that was our first taste, which I love that it was from George. He's from my tribe, worked with him over many years here. So was that a helpful way to dig into the markets and we can keep going that way? Type a Y in the chat, guys. I need to know if that helps. This is just like my normal way of coaching and analyzing and blending it together, but I don't know every single one of you. So I want to make sure it's actually providing some value. Okay. You're thinking of entering at 170. Yeah, I would say 170 to wait till there and then get through. Okay, awesome. So let's move on to Richard, who asked about the ES. Now, the ES. Oh, the ES, I used to call it my baby, okay? But then I realized I shouldn't be like emotional about the markets. But I started learning to trade on the E-mini S&P 500 futures, and that's still my go-to. I write research on it every day. I can't help myself. I love this market. So as you can see, I already have all these panels ready to go. So I have all kinds of analysis deployed here, okay? I'm not going to go through every single annotation on my charts. You don't know the techniques behind them. It wouldn't make much sense. I will just make some broader comments. So I learned about trading from my father, starting when I was a teenager, as I mentioned. And he learned about trading from a lot of the greats out there, okay? Larry Williams, Larry Pesavento, some of our great living traders. He also learned about trading from Gann, G-A-N-N. Have you heard of Gann? Type a Y in the chat. If not, you're good, okay? Gann was around in the early 1900s, and he wrote a lot of books, left a lot of amazing analysis behind, but it's like super dry and complex, and not a lot of people can make it simple. So I have worked hard to make Gann's complex concepts simpler for you all. And one of the ones that's here is using his eighths. So Gann didn't really use Fibonacci, or at least he didn't say he did, okay? He would take other mathematical divisions, dividing by 3, dividing by 8, and those would be his important levels. So I really resonate with the eighths because they're very similar to Fibonacci, but the math is easier to do, right? It's easier to take 0 to 100 and just keep dividing it by 2 until you get 8 equal pieces. So we can see here, I'll just thicken up these lines for a second, that so far in this nasty rundown this month, the market's retraced 37.5%. That's 3/8 of the run up from the April 19th low. Okay. So what that tells me is, all right, bears are kind of still hanging out. They're still in control, but they haven't stole the show yet, because until they retrace 50%, there's still room for bulls to reemerge. Okay. So this is on the weekly chart, and there's other tools, techniques here, but let's also look at the indicator, because that's what today's all about. So the RSI power zones are putting in a disconnect between price and momentum. And I teach my specific patterns relating to the RSI power zones in my courses. But let me just say that this one started on the daily chart, and then started emerging in the weekly. So I look at higher time frames first, but that's not where I'm taking all my action. I really get close and gritty on the 60-minute chart, which I'll show you in a moment, and I trade on 3-minute and 15-second time frames, like 15-second, literally. It's great for trade management for me, okay? But I'm also trading just one market. I can't handle multiples. Everybody with me so far? Type a Y in the chat, okay? We're still going through your ticket requests, but the ES I'm spending a little more time on because this is my market that I spend a lot of time and energy in. All right, cool. So on the ES, yesterday morning before the open, I saw room for downside. That's a nice way of saying it. And I warned my members who get my S&PH Pro Research Daily, and I was just like, it doesn't look good. Stay out of the way. It went way weaker than I thought it would, but still in the end, it came down to the target I had. And the target I had is at 5450.5. So I was ready for 5450.5, starting with yesterday's open. That's this gray bar, okay? So we fell down yesterday. Then again today, I said it probably is still weak. We fell again, but once it fell during that midday hour, right, 11 a.m. Eastern, it was one of those really fast whipsaw moves. Now, here's the thing. I shared, look, the RSI power zones. So until this morning, okay, so this is what it looked like here. And let me just move these labels so you can see the action. Oops. Move the label. All right. I'm just going to take this off for now. I'll add it back later. So I'm trying to, again, make the candles and things really easy for you to see. Okay. I don't need to look at charts with this big of fat bars, but I'm doing it to make it easier for you to see. Is it helping, guys? Because I get it. I used to be like you. I would go to trade shows and expos and conferences and webinars with my dad to learn, and we'd be looking at these screens and I couldn't see anything, even though I have perfect vision. So I'm trying to make it easier for you to see since you're getting to know me. Okay. This is what I want to express. So the market opened at 9:30, right? So the hour before it was here at 9 a.m. So I'm going to move my little gray bar to represent today what the market looked like when I was getting ready to share my research. And I said, look, see how the RSI power zones, even though price is making lower lows, the RSI power zones are not getting more overbought than the 1371 low. That tells me that downside power is running out. It's not saying to go buy. It's saying the downward momentum is slowing. Type a Y if that makes sense, please, because I want to make sure you're understanding what you're seeing here. So being able to be prepared for a turn and stop selling is just as valuable as knowing when to enter a new position. So if you were going short, the first hour of trading today was so weird. I traded though, and I think I have a screenshot of my trades. I still managed to get like, I don't know, $700 or something, but it was all over the place. So let me show you my screenshot. I captured it because I knew I'd be with you today. I think I have it here. Give me 1 second. See, like I said, I didn't come in with a whole fancy plan today. I just want to introduce my indicator and go through markets with you. but I really want to show you my recap of today's trade. So if I can't find it in 3 seconds, then don't worry, we won't look at it. Ah, found it. Okay. Today's 7:25, yes. So here it is, okay? So this is the trades I made today. And this is the 15-second chart of the ES. So each blue line represents a winning trade. Each red line represents a losing trade. A blue circle with a white arrow that's thick is a long entry. But if you see the kind of arrow or circle that has a thin arrow, that means it was an exit. That's me customizing my TradeStation chart trading so that when I open it up, I can see what was what and not have to guess. Was it long? Was it short? Was it entry? Or was it exit? So even though today was very, very choppy, and you can see I went long, I got out at 2 points, and then I got stopped out at 2 points. Even trade. Went long again, got stopped out, or got entered at 2. I entered here too early. My original buy was somewhere down here, but I didn't have patience, okay? Went long, got my 2 points, lived through this stuff, didn't get stopped out, but then I got stopped out on this mess. And then I looked back and I was like, if all I did was not go long while the bear zones, right? The red zone on top was holding momentum and the red zone on the bottom was holding momentum, I would have been fine. Because I did finally go short at a good time, which is up here. And that's when the RSI power zones came back to the bear resistance power zone. I mean, you've only known me here for 20 minutes, but you should be able to see that in the chart. So please type a Y if you can see that. That's all you have to know, is that this is the relative strength index with zones added, not just overbought, oversold. And if you know what trend you're in and you know the full approach to using it, you can get some great, easy to spot opportunities. Okay, great. So I went short here. I was a little nervous, but after my 2 like wonky trades, I was like, do I even really know what's going on today, right? But I did. And so I got out of my first, so I do 2 lots. So on the E-mini S&P, I put 2 contracts short. I got the first one out at 4 points, so $200. So I'm just like happy, okay? Then I can trail down my stop to only lose a maximum of $200. By doing that, generally within minutes or seconds even, I am now in a neutral position. Psychologically, that's very powerful. So once I had that neutral position, I felt comfortable letting this trade ride. And look, this is where I got out. And the reason I got out here instead of letting the market keep going lower is because I realized with all this business, we're in a choppy time. And my dad, who I learned from, who unfortunately passed away in 2016, his lessons are still in my head. I still remember them. And he would say in a day like this, Hima, don't be cute. Don't be cute, okay? If you're getting range trading, just get out at the edges of the range. So I got out and then I regrouped and I was like, oh, I think the market wants to keep going lower. I think it wants to get to my daily downside target. So I shorted again, but I'm a human. I get distracted like you, things happen. So I got out, had a winning trade. And what really ticked me off is that the market really tanked after this. I just didn't really have the patience past 10 a.m. But that's okay. It was still like, I don't know, $670 or something like that. It's like, I'm showing this to you to show you that taking this indicator specifically, it can give you value all the way from a monthly chart to a 15-second chart. So far, we've already been through a stock, we're going through futures, and I'm going to keep going through more. If you have questions, please ask them. So far, I've been just prompting you, and Tim says, sure, it's very simple visually, and excellent, thank you. And yeah, Tim also says octaves. Yeah, that's like the GAN eighths, right? All right, cool. So let's keep going here with this ES. So I'll just close down that. And where do we stand right now? Okay, I haven't done all my homework yet for my report tomorrow, but quick glance, we traded sideways, we went down, we came 2 points, not even from my support level, right here. So before the market traded, I had support at 543.75. It came to 543.2.5, less than 2 points. And then boom, rallied from there. And it, I believe, went to my first target. So how do I know what my first target was? I'm talking about reports I write. So I'm just going to pull up my report I wrote today just to double check my work. So this is called my S&P Edge Pro. Okay, that's like the service that I have where I provide E-mini S&P 500 futures multiple times a week, SPY on the weekends, and I'm trying to log into my portal, of course, when I have an audience. There we go. Oh, okay, it wants me to log in. All right, hold on, because I wanted to show you. Actually, you know, I have a Word document version of the report. Let's pull that up. It'll be faster. So I want to see if the support level that I was discussing, yes, right here. Okay. Okay, so this is the report I write for myself and then I share with the members. I'm just looking back to see. Okay, so the outlook is like what I think is going to happen for the day. Yeah, here it is. If I was like, we're at an inflection point, I don't know which way we're going to go. But if we're able to get above this zone right here, 5490, 5492.75, guys, this one right here, my next upside target was 5523.5. And that's exactly where we traded into 2 p.m., went 10 points above, and then fell again. I'm not sharing this to say, well, look at me and my wonderful analysis today. I'm sharing this to show you how this stuff actually melds together in real life application. And because we're on the ES, I spent a lot of time on it, but I'm going to keep going back to your ticker requests. Okay, I'm going to do like a halfway point check-in. Scale of 1 to 10. How glad are you that you're here? 1 is like, I should have been at the pool. This is a complete waste of my time. 10 is I'm learning something. I'm getting value. This is a good use of my time. Or anything in between. I'm a big girl. Type your number in the chat and we'll keep going. Okay. Rubicon, UVXY. That was an interesting ticker. I'm very curious to see what this turns out to be. All right, UVXY. I don't even know if I can plot it. Is it even a US stock? Let me see. UVXY. Okay, that's why it was odd. It was Ultra VIX short-term ETF. Fascinating. Okay. So here we go. I don't really know what to do with this because of how the way it's priced. Maybe I'll just skip ahead to a weekly chart. Even then, no, it's too, the recent data is just too much lower than the history. So it's not giving me a lot of insights, but on the daily chart, we're good. Okay, quick pause. I only see like a couple of people gave a score here. I am a speaker literally asking you, this doesn't happen often, halfway through if this is providing value. If your answer is 2, I'm totally cool with that. I just want to know. So scale of 1 to 10. 1 is, wish I wasn't here, should be at the pool instead, wasted my time. 10 is, I'm learning good stuff, this is a good reminder, and you can use a number in between. I would very much appreciate the feedback. Thank you, okay? So UVXY, I'm just going to analyze this per a chart. I'm not going to talk about it in relationship to the market, meaning because this is a VIX index, which is volatility, which is a fear gauge, if it's going up, right, that's not good for stock. So let's just talk about it as a chart. Looking at the RSI power zones on this chart, sort of an advanced application of my favorite indicator is that you start to not only look at the directional moves and the patterns, you start to look at it in relation to its own history. So one thing that's interesting is that we are back at a previous overbought level and have this red, spinning top candle that formed. So I'm not saying the VIX on this ETF is done or whatever this is, it's done going up. I'm just saying it's slowed down. And I'm also going to bring in my favorite of the Gann levels is 50% retracement. No, we're not close to that, but let's see how close we are on either side. Okay, we retraced 3/8. Yeah, so just like on the market. So I think this thing has room to pause and go lower. That's all I can say here. Okay. So I'm going to just take a second to let you guys know if you want to continue to expand your education. Okay, I'm just gonna take 2 seconds to tell you this, and then I'm gonna keep going through market examples. I won't bring you over to my website or anything, but I just want to show you that on my website is this book, The Winning RSI Playbook, that I wrote. And if you go to my website, it will be there for $14. Okay, but you guys are friends of David's. You're here with me this afternoon, so I don't want you to wait and go to it on the website. I want you to take advantage of it for free here today, but this link will not be staying up for a while. So it's Synergy because of the name of this event. So I will drop that in the chat. David might as well, but I'm just sharing that for any of you who maybe can't stick around the whole time. I'm going to keep going. Don't worry. Okay. And so that is there. Now, I'm going to be full disclosure with you. I trade, I analyze, I love the markets. I also am running a business. If you come and get this book, you will join my email list. If you join my email list, you will get messages, some that are educational content and blog posts and videos, and some that lead you to trainings that offer you education for an investment. It's all your choice, okay? But don't come at me and be like, I opted in and you started sending me an email a day. I'm telling you that that's going to happen. No secrets, okay? You can also hit unsubscribe if you find out my flavor is not for you. But if you want to learn more or look at more examples of what I'm doing here, this is the book you can do it with. Okay, like I said, brief foray, links in the chat. Let's keep going. So my next in my list, so I'm ready for round 2 of requests, guys. Okay, it's 3:30, I have more time. So I'm up to the last in my list. So if you have a new ticker request or question for me, now is the time. Okay, there's questions about where to get the book. So David just put the link in the chat, but I'll just show you here. Type HimaReddy.com/synergy, or you can just click the link that David's put in there. Okay. Yeah, definitely a New York girl, straightforward. Well, it's just, listen, I'm not even joking when I'm saying I used to be you guys. I used to be at events like this to learn. I used to have a lot harder because there weren't online things. This is the late 90s, early 2000s. That was like just starting. I would have to take 3 days of my life to go to Traders Expo with my dad at the Marriott Marquis in Manhattan. And it was great bonding time with him. But sit there in person and drink bad coffee and listen to presenters. I couldn't like fold laundry and do this, right? Like, who knows what you're multitasking while you listen to me. So yes, I'm being straightforward that I have an education business, but I love sharing all this with you because A, it's another additional income stream, let's be honest. B, it's like my legacy to my dad, who, like I said, is no longer around, but like I get to kind of still do all this chart stuff. And I really like to teach. So this fulfills that for me. Okay, so enough honest, Hima. I'll still be honest, but let's just get back to the charts. All right, I'm going to put my little screen glasses on. So what I do when I'm doing trading, guys, it might be a side helpful tip. Okay, I'm going to go full screen for a second, if you can see me. I use a timer like this so that I take breaks every 25 minutes or so. I like look out far away, look at the neighbor's roof line or something just to refocus my eyes. And most of the time I'm wearing screen protection glasses like this. So those are things that are handy little tips. And if you want, maybe tonight, whoever signs up here, I'll send an email to everybody and just be like, hey, here's my 2 tools. If you want to use them, you can get them on Amazon. They're very helpful. Okay, back to the charts. Arif Hamid, GFI. And anybody else who has questions or markets you want to review, let me know. So Pete, I see your question about KKR, so I'll put that in my queue. Thank you. Okay, GFI. Goldfields Limited. Okay, so I'm a true technician in that you can give me something, I don't really need to know what it is. I only need to know if it's moving with the broad market, the S&P, the Dow, or if it's moving against it, right? The VIX, right? This looks like either a gold miner or something related to the gold market, and that's totally fine. Let's go back to that bigger picture. Okay, see, this is how I get my scope of where this thing has been. Well, it's coming back into all of this congestion from 2011, but hit up against it. RSI power zones have been lifting from bull support, but honestly just consolidating very sideways while this trek begins. So we take that to a weekly chart. What additional information do I see? Well, I actually see a pattern right now on my RSI power zones. Did you know, guys, that you can calculate price targets using momentum indicators? It's pretty cool. Do you guys want to see me do one right now? I'll pause the screen for a second. I'll do my math, and then I'll show you the result. Type of Y if that would be interesting. Otherwise, I'll keep going. Where you can literally use an indicator to calculate a target. Okay, yes? Okay, cool. So I'm pausing my screen at 3 minutes 34 or 3 hours 34 minutes. and I'm doing the math right now. So if I had you watch me do it, you try to mimic it, and then you lose money, okay? You want to learn how to do it, I can teach you in my courses, but let me, okay. So I'm looking at the relationship between the power zones and momentum. So that's the other thing, guys, is it's never looking at just the momentum indicator on its own. I always look at them all together. You have to take it in because momentum is derived from price. Like momentum measurements don't exist without measuring them from price, okay? So now I'm about to look at some of the recent peaks and troughs, relate them back to the price action, and let you know what the upside target is. And I should be ready to share that with you. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to draw a horizontal line that represents it, and then remove all my math and come back. All right, so counting down, I'll share this screen again in about 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So the upside target for this, based on market action that happened as early as this green line right here, okay, is 1892. That is not this old top at 1897, happens to be close. What I did was use my indicator and price and do math to come up with a target. Pretty cool, right? Because not all indicators do that for you. So if the opportunity or the pattern shows up in another one of your ticker requests, I'll do it again. But I just wanted to demonstrate that that can even happen. All right. Awesome. All right, Garrett, I see your question about Tesla. So first we'll go to Pete, who asked about KKR. So I'll go back to my list here. I should have been keeping a list track here, but that's okay. Keep going. All right. I keep forgetting to go to my bigger time frame, but this is a weekly, so that's good enough. So in the weekly chart of, I'm trying to read the top of my, oh, KKR and Co. That doesn't tell me much, but that's okay. Like, what do they do? I don't know. But check it out again. See how the RSI power zones work off overbought conditions, but it's not like the market stopped going up. You have to stop using overbought and oversold as your buy and sell signals alone. Even if you use something else, maybe use MACD, right? Moving average convergence divergence, maybe use stochastics, fast or slow. These are some classic momentum indicators. I mean, there's a bajillion of them, okay? Like easily 50. It doesn't matter what you use, whether you use mine or those. Please, please, please look at how the trades and markets are actually moving and don't be like, oh, it's overbought. Time to exit and go short. No, no, no. There's more to it, okay? So what happened was the trend slowed during that time, but it still stayed up. Market came lower and then started picking up again. So here, I don't really see anything actionable. Like if you're not long already, I don't see a safe place to get long because we're already at new highs. Let's take this to a daily chart, see if there's any other patterns there. Yeah, if you're already here, I don't see a new place to go. And another technique I use outside of momentum is market timing, like literally forecasting where price and time will meet on the chart. And just based on a quick eyeball of that, we are at a place for a high to form. So forecasting is something else I teach that works great with this indicator. I can also do it in like a minute. Would you like me to show you the resulting forecast for KKR? I would pause the screen, do my thing, and show you the result. Like this is happening in front of your eyes. This isn't, you know, the Wizard of Oz behind a screen somewhere. I'm real time doing it. Okay, so let me pause the screen now. Why again am I pausing the screen? Because if you try to do what I'm doing, you'll just be, oh, that's that simple. And then you're going to get hurt if you try to do it yourself. I know this because I asked traders, why'd you make that trade? And they're like, well, I watched you do some forecasting at coaching session and I thought I'd try it myself. Excuse me. That's dangerous, okay? Invest in your education or don't use that technique. I'm fine either way. Just do one of those. All right. So I almost have my forecast ready and you can tell because I'm starting to sing. Okay. So I'm going to have these purple lines intersecting, kind of like crosshairs, okay? Like X marks the spot. And that's my forecast. And I'm going to show you the earliest it could have been made. So I'm about to reveal this to you in 3, 2, 1. All right. So as early as this last candle right here in green, you could have forecasted that this stock would be trading up to 121.11. Great, Hima. Forecast. Big deal. Price target, right? But the forecast was for it to happen by April 8th. Now, here's the thing. You might say, well, it missed. The beautiful thing is that in my full approach to forecasting, I teach people what to do when it misses. Is it early? Is it late? Did it go over the price? Did it go under the price? Okay. But in the end, look, the market was just slow to the punch, but look how close it got. The upside target was 121.11. High was 119.86 before the latest pause, and it could still be on its way. So this is another reason why, if you're not already long this stock, I wouldn't want to go long now because you're so up close against a projected target. Does that make sense to you? Pete, who asked about this? Again, I know I'm not teaching you the methods here. I can't, right? I'm just getting to know you guys, but I'm showing you what I do. Okay, cool. I have one more on the list, and then it's up to you guys. So we have 20 minutes, and I want it to be all about what you guys want. Your questions can continue. They can be ticker requests. They can be questions about anything else. Like I said, I feel like I'm providing like the happy hour session of the week. And like, engage with me, show me what you got, but I'm still trying to teach you what my favorite indicator is because that's the theme of the day. Okay, Tim says this can help a person not overstay a position. Exactly. Yeah. Because once it starts getting in those overbought or oversold regions, depending on the position, you can start tightening up your stops. So I also combine it with other like price tactics and things to help do that. All right, so Tesla. Oh, this will be a fun one. We're going to definitely need to go big picture and then work our way down. Who here trades Mag 7 stocks of any kind? Type a Y in the chat. Mag 7 of any kind. I mean, the whole list is here in case you're wondering. Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Apple, Google, Nvidia, Tesla. All right, let's start with Tesla here. All right, we have a few folks here trading Mag 7, and it's not been a fun week for them. From a fundamentals perspective, and I say this because like I do have fundamentals training, okay? I used to work on Wall Street, various research firms, investment banks, Piper Jaffray. I saw my old colleague, Gene Munster, on the exchange today, the show on CNBC. I was like, oh, Gene, I used to work like 5 desks down from him, okay? Very smart people, fundamental analysts are. They're great at telling you what stock is the healthy one to add to your portfolio long-term, or what stock is getting a little sick or weak to remove from your portfolio. But I don't believe, this is my personal opinion, that fundamental analysts really know about when to time the entries and exits. Maybe you've encountered that. If you have agreed with that in the past, type a Y in the chat, okay? Fundamental analysis, these Wall Street reports or anything else you get is great for like what to get, but it doesn't tell you when. And when is important because you want to get the best price. So with the Mag 7 that are, taking it to the chin this week, first let's start with the monthly chart of Tesla. And what I just drew there is like one of my favorite ways of discovering support and resistance. So you'll learn about it later from me if you stick with me, right? Come through my education. But point being, we came up in that 254.12 and backed off. But this month's not done, right? It's a monthly bar. Let's look at the weekly candles. Last week, we had a beautiful inside bar after a doji, after a giant candle. I mean, this was warning of a slowdown of the run up if I could ever see one, okay? And we revisited the weekly version of that same super important area. It was 255.80 on the weekly. So these were important resistance levels that had been like waiting out there. Now it reported earnings on Tuesday, and Elon Musk is an interesting man. That's all I have to say, okay? As a Tesla investor, you may be frustrated with him because of what he says versus what he does, but I find him fascinating. And my dream is to like run into him here in Austin. I know he lives here, okay? But anyway, with the gap down after the earnings, look at this, right? Garrett, you asked about this. It gapped down. It's very scary and ugly, but where's the RSI power zones? They're just back in their cushion, the bull support power zone. And the last time they're in the bull support power zone, they freaking ran up like this. Sorry, now I'm starting to get animated, okay? I won't swear, but I might get close. So it excites me because these opportunities come up like over and over and over. So what do you do now? You don't just go in and buy because the indicator's back at a green zone. It's very important. It's not about simply buying and selling between the zones. That's part of the story. The main thing is looking for patterns and using price action to confirm. So right now, I don't see any reason to take any action on Tesla. I would like to see if it's able to put a closing break above the bar that had the gap down. So that was 225.99. It probed above it today, right? We're closing in 15 minutes and we got a little bit above it, but we haven't closed above that level. So unless in the next 15 minutes, the market closes above 225.99, Tesla is just like a hold. No action yet. Chill, okay? Other things we can deploy are the same other techniques I've been showing you. Oh, look how it's hanging out at the 50% retracement, the important GAN level. That's kind of interesting. So that could be meaning that buyers want to come in and support it. All right. So I'm waiting for your next question here. We have 15 more minutes. So I don't want to have our time be, dawdled. So I'm going to continue to prompt you for questions, but if you don't give me questions, then I'll go to other markets too. So how about the VIX? Does anybody trade options? Do you care about what the VIX does? You can type a Y in the chat and let me know. Okay, so I see a request from Tim, who's been very engaged here, which I appreciate, about the NQ. So I'll do that first, and then I'll go to the VIX if you guys want the VIX. Okay, Garrett says yes to the VIX. All right, we'll do the VIX too. All right, NQ. So we're going to start with the NQ on a weekly chart, okay? And I'm going to change the ticker to the current front month. Who do we have here that's in the room that's a futures trader and type a Y? It could be the ES, the NQ, it could be the micros, it could be anything. CL, maybe oil. All right, so NQU24 brings us to the current contract. And we have been weakening, yes. We are also basically approaching, or now we've tested this old top. This is very important GAN techniques, okay? Especially when you're getting them from a bigger picture time frame. However, on the weekly, the RSI power zones aren't quite as weak as I'd want yet to start looking at a buy. So let's come back to the weekly. Now this is on the daily chart, okay? So I'm going to clean up some other analysis that needs to be updated because I haven't loaded this chart in a minute. And let's look at the retracement amount to see have we given back half of the losses from the April rise. That's what I'm trying to assess here. Yes, we have. Half the losses was 1916125. And so far today, we've gone past that, but we have to see if we close below that, okay? We also have to see if we close below that old top. The other thing is a beautiful set of support that's hanging out here. And so, Tim, the next levels to the downside I'd watch. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just giving you this now. Apply your own methods and risk management and everything else. But if NQ continues lower, the next downside target, 18,698, okay? And then 18,486. So that's what I'd be watching. If you guys want to go intraday, I mean, we only have about 7-8 minutes left, but if you want to go intraday, just tell me what time frame you want to look at, okay? So for the next few, I'll start with the daily and the higher, but you can also go intraday. Okay, Venu, all right, Venu. I have helped Venu work with him personally, and he trades Nvidia, so let's go look at Nvidia. Let's go to it on a big picture time frame real quick. Then, okay, so everybody Look at this. It's like a freaking Van Gogh or Monet or whatever you want to call it painting. Look at the RSI power zones when you compare it to Nvidia. This beautiful dance between the bull and bear zones on the monthly chart. If you are a swing trader of Nvidia, you must be looking at the monthly chart at least once a week. Why do I say once a week? Because even though the bar won't be done for a whole month, it's still going to remind you of this cadence it has. It's amazing, right? So Arif, I see your question about veil. I'm capturing that. Raul, you wrote M1, M5, M15. I'm not sure what you're referring to. So if you have a ticker to go with that, let me know. But if you're here live listening to me and you can see the beautiful cadence of Nvidia, please type a Y in the chat. That's the kind of stock that when you find something that has like that rhythm, it makes it so much easier to find the opportunities. All right. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to have its volatile moments, especially around earnings and stuff, right? They're reporting later, a month from now. But looking at where it is right now, we had a disconnect between price and momentum. That was the first signs that it might go lower. It has been going lower, but it's starting to stabilize. So coming to the daily chart, I may have a forecast. I may have a forecast for us. I may have a couple of forecasts for us. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so even on the daily chart, right? Nvidia pushed up into the bull resistance power zone, worked off those conditions. Now, yes, see, it didn't exactly hold bull support. It's not going to be an exact thing every time. Pushed up again, though, into bull resistance, back to bull support. So real quick, I will give you another forecast here. So Venu, this is for you. And I don't know until I've done it if this forecast has come or gone. There's more time on it, but I think we went pushed past the price, okay? So this is the forecast that could have been in play after Nvidia made its top, and I'm just showing you how far down it was kind of set up to likely go. All right, so I'll share that to you in a second here, just getting all my little colors in order. All right. So here you go, 3, 2, 1. As early as this green candle, or sorry, this green marker, you could have been watching a correction unfold in Nvidia with a downside target of 118.97 to last into August 1st. August 1st is next Friday, and we've already weakened past the forecasted level. So it first went there very quickly into June 24th, recovered, and then went down again. And there are other smaller forecasts you could have drawn here. So I would look now at the retracement support and see how that comes into play. So we have retraced the 50% retracement. It looks to be putting in a doji candle for the day. It's going to close in 8 minutes. I would not take action to go long on Nvidia until it gets above the most recent lower price high. Because again, price is king. That's most important. You can love all your indicators all you want, but if you ignore the price action, you'll be in trouble. So July 23rd, 124.69 Venu. That's what I would watch. Okay. All right. So I'll still finish up here. I think I have a few more minutes, but I just want to remind any of you who were interested, who found value here today. I'm Hima Reddy. Price, time, and momentum. That's what I go to for the markets. Been doing this for a little bit. And if you want to know more about this indicator, how to use for yourself, if you want to learn more from me, this is where you can go. HimaReddy.com/synergy, as you see here, which David could put in the chat when he has a moment, where my winning RSI playbook that's normally $14 on my website, which you could go and get for $14, is free through the link. Okay, but not all day. You got to go there. We're here at the event, so make sure that you jump in there if you're interested. Okay, so let's come back to the markets here, and I'll do a couple more. Final push. Also, those of you who are here, I would really appreciate if on your way out, not on your way out, on your way waiting for the next speaker, if you could put a little nugget of information you got from this session, like a little golden nugget of trading help, and just type it in the chat. Because, like I said, usually I have a formal presentation, but I don't know a lot of you, and I just want to know what you're resonating with, okay? So specifically, it could be about price. It could be about market timing. It could just be like cool indicator. It could be about forecasting. or just anything you got reminded of. Meanwhile, I'll finish out with a couple more. So Tim's asking about YM. All right, looks like we're going on the futures train here again, which is fine by me. So I'm going to do the same thing where I go back to a bigger time frame, get my bearings. Again, this is the front month. We're here in July, so we should still be on the September contract, right? Yep. So the Dow market's a little funny because they have this sort of consolidation they've been putting in for weeks, and they spiked up but then backed off. I'll have more data on the daily chart, and for this we can go intraday too. Look at how beautifully it peaked in the bull resistance power zone. Awesome, right? And then started backing off. We have a support here at 39,999, this old top. And I'm going to look at this entire move from last year, or not last year, but from May, and we've retraced 50%. So I think the Dow is in a position where it wants to stabilize so soon. Okay. And from here, we can see if there's room for it to push lower in an intraday chart. Yeah, it looks like it has another drive or push lower that it wants to make. All right, guys. Any final questions? Let me know. Comments. I'm reading what's in the chat. Okay, so Tim says, this was so easy. I waited for over a month for the lows to catch that YM blast off. It was a no-brainer, structure and volume. Awesome, you were able to take advantage of that. He said, very good job. Thank you for your presentation and sharing of information. Well, thank you, Tim, for your engagement. You're like superstar in terms of replying to me in the Zoom. So I'm happy to answer any final questions you all may have. I hope you continue to stick around for other great speakers. I myself am going to stick around, especially for my friend Matt Choi. I don't get any financial benefit from telling you that. Matt Choi is an awesome guy. He's my good friend. We catch up every few months. He's out in Canada. I'm in Texas. And in fact, he had messaged me recently to catch up. And then my husband sprained his ankle and tore ligaments in his foot. So it was kind of a rough July. My husband's doing better. So I just needed to like lay low. But all right. Thank you, David, for hosting me as always. This is always such a fun crowd because, you know, you guys are coming in here and really wanting to boost your trading, and I respect that. So if you want to continue your journey with me, you can check out himareddy.com/synergy. If you're already in my tribe and getting my emails, you're good. You'll continue to learn about what I have to share. And I hope everyone has a great rest of the session here, and good luck with these crazy markets.